Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another great edition of Sports Étouffée. I am your host, Logan Graffia, and it's been far too long. On today's show, Saints, the disaster and the abysmal play of it's just what more can I say? It's been a disaster. And the LSU Tigers finish out the season strong and makes a strong case for Jaden Daniels' Heisman campaign. And we're going to get into a little bit of Pelicans if we have time. All that and in between right here on Sports Étouffée. Hit me the theme music now. Alrighty, so on tap first, the New Orleans Saints. New Orleans Saints fall to division rival Atlanta Falcons 24-15. All 15 points coming off of Blake Groupie field goals. Blake Groupie is the only one to score points for the New Orleans Saints. Not Kamara, not Derek Carr, not Taysom, not Olave, none of them. It's all Blake Groupie field goals, you guys. We could not score at all. Derek Carr had a pick six. I don't know who he was throwing it to, but threw it straight to Jesse Bates, and he was gone. And it was in that drive that he threw the pick six on, just unfortunately was a promising drive. They was driving. And then, boom, disaster strikes. Derek Carr on the day was 24, 38, 304 yards, one interception being the pick six. Now, almost all of the receivers that we had healthy in the game got injured. Chris Olave was having a big day before getting injured on an attempted catch. It was in traffic and it was uncatchable, and he got hurt and he left the game with a concussion. 7 catches for 114 yards for Olave, one being 51 yards on a catch. He had 9 targets. Then Rashid Shaheed leaves the game with an apparent injury as well. Then you are just left in the game with A.T. Perry, the rookie, Lynn Bowden, who was predominantly a blocker, Taysom Hill, who was the Swiss Army knife, who had some catches, and then Juwan Johnson, Keith Kirkwood. Was not a pretty outing at all. And then at the end of the game, there's 30-something seconds left. Dennis Allen tries to attempt a field goal to make it a little bit closer, but Blake Groupie, who was perfect on the day, hooks it to the left and just gets better and better, Saints fans, doesn't it? I have never been on the Dennis Allen train. I have never been on the Pete Carmichael Jr. train. I have been very adamant about saying from day one that Dennis Allen should not be the head coach. And I get everyone's thinking at the time, oh, he's going to keep everything Sean had in place. Well, the one thing I kept trying to tell everybody is Sean isn't here. A substitute teacher isn't going to get the job done. And Dennis Allen may just be beneath or below a substitute teacher. Don't know what you want to call it, but pretty bad. And as far as Pete Carmichael Jr. is concerned, he didn't want the job in the first place, and he coaches like he doesn't want to be here as well. So, if you ask my opinion, Dennis Allen probably returns unless disaster strikes again. Pete Carmichael Jr., I'm hearing, is probably the one that's going. They're going to go in a new direction. Fingers crossed. And now the Saints fall to 5-6 after a bye week. They are now not leading the division, which should be an easy victory for the Saints, but it doesn't look like it at all. You had a very favorable schedule. Next on tap is the Detroit Lions coming off of a bad loss versus the Green Bay Packers. They're going to want to get back on track with the New Orleans by beating the New Orleans Saints. The Detroit Lions are doing everything right this year. They are 8-3, so it's going to be a home game. But I am not very. I'm usually not pessimistic, but right now I have to be. I don't see the Saints winning again until maybe we play Carolina, and then after that, I see maybe 2 more wins on the schedule. The remaining schedule is Detroit, Carolina, the Giants, the Rams, Tampa, and Atlanta. I think we lose to the Lions. I think we beat Carolina and the Giants. And then I think we lose to the Rams. And then I think we lose to the Bucks again. And that last game against Atlanta is up in the air. But if you ask me, I think I'm not in a Derek Carr train anymore. I can admit that, man, was I wrong. I have no idea what changed from now to from camp to now, but it's just horrible. Very, very horrible, you guys. And I can be the first to admit that I was wrong. I am not in the Derek Carr hype train anymore. I bought a Derek Carr shirt. I will probably wear it because I paid for it, so I'm going to wear the thing, but I don't know if I can say I'll wear it with pride for right now. I'll say that, unless things dramatically change, which I doubt. So moving forward, I think draft a quarterback in the first round. Right now you are slated to pick number 12 in the draft. That should be right in the ballpark to pick Jaden Daniels. Draft Jaden Daniels in the first round, which kind of segues into our next topic, the LSU Tigers. LSU Tigers had a very rocky start to the Texas A&M game because Texas A&M has a very great defense, defensive line, linebackers, you name it. They got a lot of players on that Texas A&M defense that I like, one of which is a home state talent from Covington, Louisiana, Edgerrin Cooper, the linebacker. Then you got Damani Richardson, the safety, who I am quite a fan of, both of which are on my Saints draft board. At one point, the Tigers were down by 10, 24-14. Texas A&M led. Then, just like in the Missouri game, the defense, for whatever reason, finally made some changes. Brian Kelly said they played cover 2 trail in the second half, which they haven't run all season long, which they should have, but you know how that goes. Once they did, they got a few stops, and then the Heisman Trophy winner, or the should-be Heisman Trophy winner, Jaden Daniels, turned Super Saiyan, or Superman, for those who don't know what Super Saiyan is, and just took over the ball game. There was a 4th and 4, a huge 4th down, and Jaden Daniels sees an opening, runs it for almost 40, it was around 49 yards, almost 50-yard run. And then next you know, that's when LSU picked it up. The LSU offense came alive. Jaden Daniels, 16-24, 235, 4 touchdowns passing. Then he also topped that off with 11 carries of 120 yards. Almost 400 yards of offense for Jaden Daniels. He was dang near close. Then Malik Neighbors was just a few yards shy of getting the LSU record. That's 122 yards. He needed 149. Brian Thomas, making incredible catches. Kyron Lacey, underrated game. Had one catch for a touchdown. I think he will be quite big for us next year. I think LSU will get the 10 wins. I think they will win their bowl game, whoever they play. They are projected to play Notre Dame in the Relia Quest Bowl, played at Raymond James Stadium in Tampa, where the Bucks play. This offense deserved to be in the playoffs. They did. I've been quite vocal about the LSU offense is a championship offense, but the defense is a junior varsity defense. And with that being said, I think it's time to let Matt House go. I don't know what happened from this season, from last season. Because last season, he was much better. This season, he was just abysmal. There's a lot of coordinators out there that I would love to get at LSU. One of them being Lance Guidry, who is from the state of Louisiana. He's over there at the Miami Hurricanes. And the Miami Hurricanes defense has improved under Lance Guidry's tutelage. I would say everywhere Lance Guidry's been, their defense has improved tenfold. And I think that would be an incredible hire. Or you could swing even bigger and get someone like Phil Parker, the defensive coordinator from Iowa. Iowa's defense is always top 50 in the country or quite close to it. Being top 50 in the country is almost like being one of the best in the country, for those who don't know. Changes have to be made on that defensive staff. Changes have to be made. And I think Matt House has to go. And I don't know who the defensive line coach is going to be because I don't know if Jimmy Lindsey is going to be coming back. But if you get Lance Guidry, maybe he recruits one of his other coaches that when he was at Marshall, Chevis Jackson. Chevis Jackson was a former DB at LSU once upon a time, not too long ago, former NFL draft pick from the Falcons, etc., etc. But going forward, I think the defense has talent. They have a lot of young players. I just think they need a better coordinator. But the last thing I'll say about the LSU Tigers is that Jaden Daniels should win the Heisman Trophy. It's not even close. He leads 25 out of the 30 quarterback categories over Michael Penix Jr. and Bo Nix. Bo Nix should not win the Heisman Trophy. He should not. Don't care what anyone on the West Coast says. In Oregon, California, whatever, he should not win it. Jaden Daniels should win it. 3 losses. Don't care. RG3, Lamar Jackson, Tim Tebow, all won with 3 losses. But moving forward with the little time that we have left, the New Orleans Pelicans. New Orleans Pelicans were coming off of a back-to-back, playing the Clippers, beating the Clippers. Then Zion sits out the next game because I don't know who made the schedule, but scheduling the New Orleans Pelicans to play a late game in Los Angeles and having to play another late game in Utah, I don't think was quite fair, but it is what it is. Pelicans played a few nights ago against the Utah Jazz. They play tonight or the 27th of November, whenever you're watching this. They lose to the Utah Jazz 105-100 after leading by almost as much as 20 points. And Zion did not play, but Brandon Ingram had 26, Herb had 23. Rookie Jordan Hawkins, a.k.a. Hawkeye, had 25. Dyson Daniels had 6 steals, playing like Lonzo Ball. That's why I think they drafted him. I know a lot of people are going to say, why is Zion not playing back-to-backs? He's in his 20s. Why are we sitting a 20-something-year-old for back-to-backs? He's not a vet like Kawhi or LeBron. Why are we doing this? Well, I'm okay with it at this point because if that gets Zion to maybe 70, 75 games in the season, so be it. Maybe that will make the big wig pundits and big media heads over there at ESPN and whatnot get off his back a little bit. Because if Zion plays over 70, 75 games, excluding the playoffs, then maybe they will loosen their grip a little bit. I think Zion's going to play in this game, but Willie Green has been very adamant in saying that Zion's not going to play on back-to-backs early on in the season. And I'm quite okay with that. I think moving forward, the Pelicans were coming off of I want to say 5-game win streak after a very good homestand. Now, as far as the in-season tourney goes, do they make it to Vegas? I don't know. I think it's very possible. They got to, of course, win some more games, but I think the Pelicans going forward, health being a factor. I think if this team is healthy, you get CJ back, you get Trey Murphy back, you add more shooting and depth to this roster. If everyone's healthy, even at the end of the season, I think this team can make some noise in the playoffs, even getting as far as the Western Conference Finals. I know that's a bold take, but if this team is healthy, I think they can make it far. Now, if not healthy, this team is probably another play-in team as it stands. Well, you guys, I think I've covered everything. But before we go, just want to say one more thing on the Saints. Dennis Allen should be fired. He probably won't be, but Dennis Allen should be fired. Pete Carmichael needs to retire or just go to Denver with Sean. Run out the season with Carr. Do not bench him because that would, I don't care. Just keep him in at this point and play it out, ride it out. Draft Jaden Daniels in the first round with that top 10, top 15 pick you're going to get. Hire a young offensive coordinator, maybe the college route, like I've been hearing. Wink, wink. And then go from there. Go from there. So that's all the time we have for this podcast. Be sure to give this podcast a like, subscribe, and maybe even turn on that little bell right there for your notifications. And don't forget to share this podcast or YouTube show all across social media on Twitter/X, Instagram, Facebook, or whatever social media pages you may also have. Well, you guys, this has been fun. I'm glad to be back. This has been another great edition of Sports Étouffée. I shall see you guys next time.